Hi everyone, my name is Beck Pete and I am hanging out today with Rob from Front Row Live.
I'm super excited that I just recently got introduced to you. And I'm even more excited that Romantic was the first single that I got introduced to because I was kind of blown away, like not just on the vocals, not just on the single, but the actual video as well. Like you came in with a package, and that is one, it's really hard to do, and two, it's very rare nowadays. So let's talk a little bit about this single in particular, and like do you remember like what really kickstarted the writing process for you? Like, did you come into the studio session or the writing session like with a melody in mind, or was it like a lyric that you already had in mind?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for saying all these things. Romantic is like, for me as an artist, I think, and my anthem song. Like, I love this song so much. And I think that it's kind of outside of the scope of other things that I've written. I've written a lot about heartbreak and like romantic love, person to person, but not about like romantic is like a love song to the world for me. And it's basically, I wrote it during a time. I started off the writing process, I guess, at home by myself. And I wrote the first part of the verse and I was just sitting with myself and feeling lost. And I honestly felt that it was like the most difficult time of my life. I was like, this has got to be my lowest low ever. And of course, immediately after that, I actually experienced my lowest low. um, but like the process of writing it, I was just sitting with like the fact that, I was becoming a grown woman and I still had all these questions. And I thought that I was supposed to know all this by now, and I thought like life was supposed to maybe, I don't know why I would ever think this, but I thought maybe life was supposed to get easier or something. Which is like ridiculous to think, but it was just like yeah, I wrote it, feeling very low, and I brought it to my friend Dan Sadin, who I like really trust with all of my feelings. I have a lot of them, so important when I write a song, especially one like that where it's like very. I was feeling very heavy about it all. That I have someone that's like gonna support me emotionally as well, and so I brought this in with him, and we really tried to get to the root of what I wanted to say and why I was writing the song in the first place. Because the verse was kind of just a bunch of questions and feeling floaty and feeling all over the place. And um, I realized that like this song for me needed to just kind of serve as a reminder of the beauty. And so really, I wrote this song for me initially. And a lot of the songs that are going to be on this upcoming album, I wrote kind of for me first. But it was really just a reminder that like even when we can't experience the joy associated with all of the beauty that surrounds us, like it's constantly there, right? And it's like there's something so romantic about the interplay like between things, right? How one thing like leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. And so like the heartbreak itself and the difficult times and the low lows, like those are just as romantic and just as beautiful as the high highs that we experience. And I realized that I needed that reminder in that moment, and in the time following that, I had this song as kind of a gift to me. And so I was really excited about producing it and sharing it because I was like, I really wanted this song to just serve as a reminder that like not only is everything romantic, that our existence is romantic and beautiful, um, it's also simultaneously frustrating and difficult, and like, and we shouldn't like avoid those feelings. Those feelings are real, and like this song isn't about toxic positivity, like everything's awesome all the time. It's about like it's not awesome, and that's why it's so beautiful and so cool. And the fact that those two things being difficult and things being beautiful, can happen like simultaneously is just incredible. So yeah, so that was like the process of writing it, and I finished it with Dan, and we were like, I feel like this is the song for me. So I'm so glad that you love it, and I'm glad that it's out.
And it's one of those things where like people either talk about the bad stuff or they talk about the good stuff, but they never talk about like why this bad stuff will lead to the good stuff. And I feel like that's what you kind of do with this track. You mentioned that Dan is someone that you're comfortable working with, but I also noticed that John Joseph is someone that you work with production wise.
Yeah.
You also worked with him with Softy. So how do these two individuals kind of help you be more comfortable in the studio when you're starting to like record these songs?
Yeah, I mean, so Dan and I worked on Romantic. We None of the other songs that we've written together are on the album, but like I write with him for a lot of different types of things. I think like he definitely helps me to just feel comfortable being myself, and and I'm able to have like weird ideas and bad ideas, and I only write with people that I feel comfortable, especially for my project. I'll write with people for anything. I'll write with basically anyone for anything else, but when it comes to my stuff, it's really important that I work with people that are going to tell me like that's a bad idea and that's a good idea, and be a really beautiful sounding board, and know that there's this support at the bottom of it all. Like I know that they support me and they believe in me, and then that's the most important part. So all the people that I wrote with for this project, I had that understanding with them that I know that they believe in me and I know they support me. And so we're able to be brutally honest with each other to get the best product, right? John is another person that is very brutally honest with me sometimes. And we've worked on, so every song that I've released since the Muse EP, which is what I came out with before I started releasing these singles, um, has been with John, and at least the fully produced stuff. And at the beginning of us working together, he would tell me that my ideas were bad sometimes, or and it was just like so brutal. And one day I had to talk to him and be like, "Okay, that hurt my feelings," and he was like, "If I didn't care, I wouldn't tell you." So it's been really a cool process working with John specifically because John has a very specific sound, and I think when we come together, like I think I sort of write pop songs, but I think the feeling, like to honor a feeling, is to lean into like messiness and texture and grit and like kind of like an alternative soundscape. At least for me right now, that's how I feel that I'm honoring the feelings um, that I'm putting into song. And so John already kind of lives in that world. And we're able to create a really cool middle ground because he does a lot of like, harder stuff, a lot of more alternative stuff, a lot of more rock based music as well. But with my stuff, I feel like we really have created a sound all our own. So I trust him, and I always wanted to work with just one producer, and create like a real sound. And I feel really blessed to have been able to find the person that got me to this sound and is going to continue to help me develop my sound.
Would you say that he also helped you learn your voice and the different ranges that you could and can't do? Although I don't believe in can't. I feel like you just have to like really try new ways to get there, right?
I don't believe in can't. I think we have I think we have limitations with our instrument, right? Any instrument has limitations. But he pushes me. He pushes me. I like he'll try to raise a key and I'll be like, "Hell no, dude. We are not doing that key." And he's like, "Just try it." And a lot of the keys that we end up using are higher than I wanted them to be initially. And I always push back like, "I can't do that, dude. Come on, just leave it how I wrote it." So that's been cool. He does help me to push boundaries, and he does challenge me. And I think, with any relationship, I think feeling open to someone challenging you and also accepting that and working through that helps to lead to like the most beautiful end products, right? And so, yeah, I think like he's definitely helped me to grow in confidence within myself and help me to access parts of my voice and my sound that I didn't know were possible. And he's taught me so much. Like, people think that I do all the background, like I arrange all the background vocals um, on my albums and my EPs and things. It's like, no, he does most of that. And I give like input and ideas, but like he's just like he's such a genius, and he like has taught me different things to listen for, and yeah, it's been a really cool process learning from and working with him.
Would you say that the song, when you first wrote it, changed drastically once John stepped in to start the recording and the production process?
I think this song I think the song became exactly what it was supposed to be. I think in terms of sounds, like the piano being the base of it, like as soon as that, my friend Ryan James Tillema was with us that day as well, and as soon as he started playing that piano part, it was just like, oh, that's the feeling, that's it. It's warm and introspective, and like I feel like right away when I come in with the piano, it feels like I'm singing to myself. It feels like so close, like I'm sitting with myself. Um, but also the song is supposed to be fun because it's supposed to like lift you up. It's supposed to be a reminder, of like, all right, life sucks right now, but it's also really cool, like so I love that it became like, it has a vibe, it has an energy, you can move to it, you can dance to it. So like it's a song that you can feel really deeply, but also you can like live to, right? It can be playing in the background and you can just kind of like be listening to the overall energy and feel of it, and it still is doing its job. You know what I mean? So yeah, I it changed definitely. I don't think like the song itself became something new. I think it just settled into what it was supposed to be.
With the music video, I love the entire video. I love the art. I love
Thank
the
you.
visuals. I love the interpretive dance that you kind of do. What really inspired that? Was this something, was this a treatment that just naturally flowed out? Like you already knew this was going to happen? Or is this something that took you some time to figure out what this video was going to be like?
So this video was really cool. I worked with friends on it, friends that had done other music videos for other artist friends of mine, and I told them I was going to be annoying and controlling and like all the things that I am, and they were like, let's do it, and we're game, we're ready." But I did. I had a very specific vision for this specific video. The Softy video is interesting because it was fully choreographed, right? The one that I released before the romantic video. And this one, I've been really wanting to lean back into movement because I used to be a dancer, um, and I found dance in a different way later in life. Like, I feel like it's supposed to just be the feeling of it all instead of trying to always look a certain way, which is, I hope, what maybe you got from the romantic video. But I was like, man, I just want to move like myself, And I think that what we were trying to represent through the movement in the video was, it was kind of like this, it was kind of half like more beautiful, like flowy movement, and other half was kind of like weird and like abrupt and like a little bit awkward. And I felt like I was trying to represent both of those things that are happening simultaneously in the world, right? The hard things that are kind of sticky and weird and textural, and then the things that are also like flowy and beautiful. And yeah, so that was what we were trying to get across with that video. And I just also had a very specific aesthetic in mind. I'm a really big fan of a photographer. I might not be pronouncing her name correctly, but hopefully I'm doing it right. Brooke Di Donato, I think is how you pronounce her name. And um, she captures all of these moments where it seems that people are kind of sinking into the mundane of like the day to day. At least that's how I interpret it. And I thought like romantic is a call. This song is a call to pull yourself out of that as often as you can. And so we kind of like incorporate a little bit of like movement that was inspired by her, and certain shots that were inspired by her. and just kind of knitted in this like style of movement that I felt like was just very true to me. I didn't plan it out. Just kind of was like, all right, let's do it again, and now I'm gonna move weird. So yeah, it all worked out. Yeah, I love it.
You look comfortable doing it. It doesn't look like you're just, let's see what my body does. Like, and that was a cool part too. Like now that you're explaining it, the way that you just did. Um, do you normally do that with your music or with your videos? Do you just let it happen?
It really depends. I think like I trust myself to perform always, right? So I'm like, if it needs to be that, let's go. You know what I mean? I know that like I know the feeling that I feel when I sing the song, and that's constantly changing, which I think is really cool. And so if I record a video at a different time, then maybe I'm gonna move a different way than I would otherwise, right? But I'm like, I trust myself to lean into the feeling and make something true to the moment. And some of the videos required a lot more planning. Like Softy required a lot of planning. I made most of those set pieces myself. You know, like I created like all those sets, and I was really really adamant about doing that. I don't know why, but I was like, I need to make the suns, and all of the rays of the sun need to be felt, and then I need like, I just don't know. I had a very specific vision for that one. And then I like got choreography done for that one, and like learned this whole thing of like how to move through the space, and like that was so thought out. And then yeah, there's ones like Romantic where it was just kind of like, oh, that's not working. Maybe if we tried it this way, let's try this thing. And then we would try a thing, and I'd be like, that's the magic thing. Let's go with that. So I think the coolest part is that they've all been different, and I think that they will continue to all be different, but they always remind me to trust my intuition, regardless of how planned out they are. Because, even in the moment of if something is super planned out, we might change it because it like doesn't have exactly the right feeling. So yeah, that's been a cool experience with these videos. They've all been different, but they're all like a good reminder of how strong our intuition is if we let it be.
You just announced part one of your upcoming debut album, Scared of Everything, which that must be an amazing feeling to finally like get to release that debut album. Is this song Romantic as like a taste of this upcoming album, or is this something different that we can expect?
I'm trying to think. So we broke the album up into two parts. It's a full length album, and I think the album itself, the full thing, is probably going to be released near the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Um, and I, it was hard for me to separate the songs because I feel like they all are belong together. But this first part that you're going to be getting on March 6th, which is just so exciting and
May
scary,
sixth.
everything. May
On
6th.
May 6th.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, May 6th. Amazing. I love that so much. Um,
We're going back in time here.
yes, it's so good. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, so this first batch of songs, I feel like Romantic uh, is a little on the softer side. So the next song that's coming out, kind of as like the focus track of the EP, is called April Fools in February, and it definitely leans into a lot more texture, a lot of grit, a lot of like it leans more into that alternative soundscape kind of that Softy lives in. But there's one that's like the most, at least at the end of the song, the most dancey, which is really exciting for me. Obviously I love to dance. So, yeah, I'm stoked about that one. That one is probably, honestly, maybe one of my favorite songs on the album. And then there's one that's like really slow. It's like the slowest burn ever, and it's called For You, and it's one song that I wrote kind of about like a group of old lovers, instead of just one person, which was a really interesting process of writing that song. But yeah, I think like there's a lot of variety in the EP. I think it leans into like the alternative soundscapes soft. Romantic is a little softer overall, and there is some softness. I think it has like a really nice middle ground between being really like rough and alternative and soft, which I think is kind of like what's great about me. So I think it's a great like introductory album to like this is who Beck Pete is as a woman, as an artist. And yeah, I'm excited.
Super excited. Like I said, I'm glad that I just got introduced to you. I'm
Friends
looking
forever
forward
now.
yeah, exactly. You're stuck with me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm excited that we can finally do this and you know, to kind of close us off, like with this song Romantic, like what would you say was like, I know everything just felt almost natural, but what would you say was like your biggest challenge to kind of finalize this song?
That is an interesting question. Um, I actually had two mixes done of this song. And they were pretty different. And one of them was, it's almost like you knew this. I was like, what? But one of them was, I would say, like leaned into like a more lush soundscape, but maybe wasn't like as like hard hitting. And then the other
Mm,
one was like hit a little bit harder and like I felt like was a little shinier. And I had a really difficult time because they were both incredible, and I ended up kind of letting the team decide for me because I was like, I can't decide. They're both, I love them both so much. And so I actually like even to the day of getting it mastered, I even like was unsure which one to go with. And I feel really excited about the one that we had chosen because like I was a big part of that process and I was kind of like there with the mixer working through it all and I thought that this song needed to be shiny. Like that was the last thought was like I think that because of what we're talking about here, this song needs to shine. Like it needs to have that sparkle. And so, yeah, that was a really hard decision actually. And it took me a few months to decide on which one to go with. And yeah, I knew that both were incredible and I knew that I would love them both. And so, but I'm really glad that we went with the one we went with. And now it's like one of those things that I'll remember forever that like, okay, we made this decision and people are liking it. So maybe it was the right one, you know?
well,
Yeah.
now I'm a little curious though. So, I mean, maybe consider doing an Easter egg with it and like dropping it as like an extended version or like a alternative
That's,
version or something. I
that's,
don't know. I'm
that's
just throwing it
funny.
out there.
That's funny because a lot of people have said that to me, like, why don't you just release both? And I'm like, they're not that different. You know, like if you don't listen to music all day, or like if you're not like a musician and you're like constantly like listening to sounds, like you're probably not gonna feel them all that differently. But I feel things so like abrasively sometimes. Like I'll like one of my friends, oh man, it was like the perfect quote. He said like oh, I can't remember it now, but it's basically like he loved how annoyingly specific I am and how something so small can feel so big to me. Like, you know, they changed 3% of like a reverb and I'm like, it's terrible. You know what I mean? So yeah, so of course I'm gonna notice all that nuance and all those like different things. Of course, also it's mine, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's different enough to release both. But you know, I mean, maybe I'll do. I love how the industry now, we have the opportunity to do so many different versions of things, and like I don't put it past me to do different versions of all of my songs at some point.
Yeah.
So, so stay tuned for that when I decide to be crazy.
Like here's the TikTok version, here's the Instagram version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's a live version. Here's like a slightly live version, but not all the way live.
Yeah.
You know? All the things. So.
Well, I'll look out for it just in case, you do decide to drop it out somewhere.
You're the first person I tell. Yes.
Well, Beck, I'm so excited to get to do this with you, and I'm looking forward to reuniting again soon and talking about more music with you. But congratulations with Romantic, and I'm excited for this upcoming debut album.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me, and we will talk again soon when I release the second version of Romantic.